Bonjour prof. J'espère que vous m'entendez tous et bonjour chers apprenants. Merci pour votre disponibilité, votre engagement pour poursuivre avec nous cette aventure d'apprentissage autour des questions liées à la sécurité numérique, mais de manière générale aux usages qu'on a avec les outils numériques. Nous avons le plaisir aujourd'hui de recevoir un participant, notre enseignant du jour, donc Lu, qui travaille avec le prof Richard Brooks, que vous connaissez déjà, et qui va aujourd'hui nous entretenir sur la sécurité en ligne, en lien avec les réseaux sociaux. Donc, sécurité, réseaux sociaux, social media, et donc tout ce qui concerne la manière dont on pourrait être exposé et la manière dont les pirates aussi nous hackent nos comptes ou bien accèdent à nos données. Donc, sans plus tarder, je vais laisser la parole à Prof. Brooks pour qu'il introduise Shen. Et Shen va parler en anglais, donc le cours sera en anglais aujourd'hui, mais vous avez la traduction qui est disponible et donc il faut cliquer sur les deux CC, la traduction, donc sur le bouton interprétation. Donc, en cliquant sur le bouton interprétation, vous allez accéder au choix des langues et vous allez pouvoir choisir la langue française et donc entendre l'interprétation en français. Prof, je te laisse introduire Shen et ensuite ce sera à lui de commencer son cours.
Ok, bonjour tout le monde. Konchik a parlé avec moi et il a dit que on a quelques sujets et il a parlé de la sécurité des médias sociaux. J'ai pensé, je connais quelqu'un qui le connaît beaucoup mieux que moi. Chin était un de mes étudiants. Il a fait le doctorat ici. Il était un des mieux. Il a fait le doctorat le plus vite que n'importe quel autre étudiant. Ensuite, il a travaillé avec une société. Il a beaucoup de invention qu'il a fait. Et ensuite, il a commencé à travailler. Je savais qu'il a commencé à travailler avec une société qui s'appelait Musical.ly. Et ensuite, vous le connaissez peut-être mieux maintenant avec le nom TikTok. Donc, il a été chargé avec la sécurité de TikTok de la première heure. Et avec ça, il a beaucoup de travail. Ils connaissent peut-être mieux que n'importe qui d'autre avec des problèmes qui existent sur la sécurité de la social media et ce qu'on peut faire. Et maintenant, OK. Jen, I explained who you are and that you're talking about social network security and a bit about your background. You're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Although I don't know French at all, but I can guess that you just gave an introduction of my background.
Yep.
Oh, okay, so I'll start. So my talk I will talk the social network security in 4 parts. The first one, I will talk about the threats that we face for the social network security. Should I wait for the translation or I will talk continually?
Jem, the translation is live, so you can continue speaking.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
good.
And let me know
Yeah.
if you're seeing the screen or not.
I'm not seeing the slides.
I'm not seeing the slides as well.
Est-ce que c'est bon maintenant?
No,
You can see the slide?
no, I see a screen saying AfricTivistes. We had them earlier.
Yeah, for a second.
Et là?
No. Pas encore. While we're doing this also, people in the audience, there's a Q&A thing where you can pose questions that we can answer. There.
I'm sharing my slides.
Okay.
Can you see?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So my talk will be in 4 parts. First one, I will talk about the threats that we are facing for social network security. And the second part, I will talk about account security, that how the spammers to attack the account and how we can protect our accounts. And since we are in the mobile world, and a lot of attacks and protections are happening in the mobile side. So I will talk about mobile security in the next part. And the last one, I will talk a little about the content security. So the first is the threats we are facing. So in the social network, many people want to be like internet influencer or the celebrity. And so there are a lot of spammers saying the celebrity, and usually I'll send you download the software and your maybe password, username, password, blah blah blah, and then you are under. And those spammers also will use a lot of gray market softwares to create a lot of zombie accounts, and they will use those zombie accounts to fake follow different user accounts and fake likes, and to abuse the algorithms so that the social network algorithm will think that, oh, you are so popular because you get a lot of likes from different strange people. So that's how they like help to make the new accounts more popular. And also they will use a lot of fake those zombie accounts to publish ads or phishing sites to expand their zombie accounts or their malicious accounts as well. And another threat that we are facing is the inappropriate contents, like some adult content of violence, terrorism, hate speech, and sensitive politics. We need to censor them to protect the platform from those malicious or inappropriate contents. And behind the scene, there are a lot of gray market or industries to support all kinds of attacks. It's like a social network botnet. They can control millions of zombie accounts to like or follow or comment or publish phishing comments. And on the left corner, you can see a picture of maybe hundreds of real mobile phones. We call it mobile device farm. They are actually real mobile devices. Since the mobile device is developing very fast, and the second-hand mobile device is relatively cheap, maybe I don't know, $10 for a device. So they can buy hundreds of them and put them in a stack and connecting them in using real the cables, and those cables are connected to maybe a control board, and you use a computer to control hundreds of those mobile devices to do like mimic real user actions. So like they can use hundreds of those real devices to register or to comment or to like different videos. And on the right corner is a SIM card bank. We call it a SIM card bank. It also has hundreds of SIM cards inserted in that device. This is used to send and receive short messages. So sometimes you need to use short messages to for two-factor verification, and with this device you can also automate this process really easily. So with those threats in social security, social network security, so the first topic I will talk about is to protect accounts. Okay, there are many ways to attack existing accounts. The easiest is to use weak password. I used like the top 100 weak password on public to check the total accounts in Musical.ly when I was there, and we found like 2.3 million accounts that are using those top 100 weak password. That's around 1% of all total accounts. In the table, you can see the top 5 popular password that for the users. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are around 340,000 users use that password. So so with this weak password list, one can use credential stuffing to attack existing user accounts. For example, I can fix the user account and rotate those 100 passwords to check, okay, if this user uses this password. And according to the statistics, if you have like 10,000 user accounts, you can get maybe 100 or 10,000, 100 user accounts with these weak password. And usually the platform can restrict the APIs, like if the user failed to log in with 5 attempts, we will lock the user account. So to avoid this policy, you can fix the password and rotate the username. So you can try username 1 and password 1, and if it failed, you can try username 2, password 2, password 1. And with this type of combination, you can also cracking the user accounts. So to protect or mitigate this kind of attacks, there are many ways to do. The first one is you can restrict the use of weak password. So if a user start to register, you can restrict those weak password. Like you must have to use numbers, capital letters, and special characters. And another way is for the API's platform, you can use the rate limit, like rate limit for each account. Like I said earlier, like if some user account tried to log in for like 5 times per second, then you can lock that account. And also you can limit the rate per device, maybe per IP, etc. And another useful way is to use recapture. This is very useful because the recapture service has their own risk control engines, which I will talk later, to check if this login attempt is malicious or is legit. So if it's malicious, they will use maybe more complex recapture images or mechanisms to verify if it's a real person. The next one is to use 2-factor authentication. Like you can send like SMS messages with random number for verification. But these 2 ways, there are additional costs. It's not free, and sometimes it's very expensive. Like the SMS is not that cheap, and someone if someone attacks this login API with like DDoS attacks, it's very expensive. During my time in Musical.ly, I applied the next policy, which is very useful, and it's not expensive at all. I called it the trust device IP user agent. So basically you can record the user's activities and find the trust device that the user is using, or the frequently used IP, frequently used user agent. So put that into the trust list. So if the new login attempt is from the trust device, then you can easily get logged in if the login request is not from the trusted device, like the image I showed on the right, which is used by Apple. So if a new login attempt is tried in a new area or new location, and they will pop up a notification to allow that for the user to check, okay, this is a legit login. And Apple also use the two-factor authentication. They will also use a verification code to verify that, okay, this is a legit login. And after login, you can send the login notification if this is not from a trusted device or trusted IP to notify that user, okay, something is happening. You need to check on that. So there are other ways to attack existing accounts, which I also experienced during my time in Musical.ly. One way is to exploit API vulnerabilities. Like there are many APIs for account, like login, register, reset, forget my password. Usually those APIs, you need to be very careful about those APIs because they are very critical. If there is a vulnerability in those APIs, then the hackers can easily bypass that. Like, for example, there was a vulnerability in reset password, and the hacker can easily exploit that vulnerability to reset any password for any user. And also, if the login verification is not very carefully designed, sometimes the hackers can also bypass that and get the authentication code without the real username and password, and they can use that authentication code to do anything. And there's also the interesting way of leaking password, which is in GitHub. Many developers, they use GitHub to store their code so they can work anywhere they like because the code is in GitHub. And sometimes, usually they will separate their personal project from the corporate project, but sometimes they make mistakes. And if they accidentally send the corporate code to the public account, and you can see many interesting username, password for even databases. And there are many hackers to scan the GitHub public repositories with keywords like password, PW, and in different languages to see, and they usually can get many interesting credentials for databases, for accounts, emails, and this is a very common threat for companies as well. So to protect these two attacks, usually we will do vulnerability scan to see if there are any common vulnerabilities in the APIs, and also we will use maybe special teams to do the penetration test to find all kinds of ways that can bypass any critical APIs. And also, another very powerful way is to use anomaly detection, with the logs of every attempt for critical API calling. You can check the API rate. For example, on the right, if the rate is really high, then probably something bad is happening. And you can also check the frequency for certain IPs or user agent devices. There are also advanced ways to do anomaly detection, which is usually AI-based. And it's usually called user and entity behavior analysis. They will check different features, like maybe the frequency for certain critical APIs, and also learn the normal behavior of normal person. And if it's an anomaly, then they will use some statistics to detect if this user account is really strange or different from normal accounts. And for leaks in GitHub, you can also use the GitHub scan tools to check if there are any like username or password that is related to the domains of your company. Okay, the next part is attacks and the protections in new accounts. Like the spammers usually can abuse the register API. On the right, it's like a register machine. Like if you some like hackers wrote a really interesting program there. So if you just input the number of accounts you want and then start, they will register the number of accounts that you input for you. So basically, it's just abusing the register API to register by using this kind of program. So if you add some protections for the register API, then it's easy to protect it. But later, the hackers find that, okay, we can use Android emulator to use real app to do the register process. They use like a tool called RPA, which can mimic the clicks of the for the Android device, and you can copy maybe 100 Android emulator in your local machine. So, and use RPA to mimic the actions, clicks for the real user. So, and with the help of the SIM card bank, you can easily bypass the like SMS verification and use those hundreds of Android emulator to register. And later we developed some policies and algorithms to detect Android emulator, and the hackers found, okay, we need to use the mobile device farm, which I introduced earlier. They use real devices and use those the group control software to control all these hundreds of devices. Okay, there are also many ways to protect or mitigate this kind of attacks. For for easy ones, you can use SMS or email verification, so they cannot easily to abuse that register API. And also we can use reCAPTCHA. And like I said earlier, we can use Android emulator detection. There are some easy ways to detect emulator, and there are also very advanced ways to detect Android. I will talk that in mobile security part. And the credit score system is the way we use which is also very effective. It's like the credit score system for like people. Like for a new account, we will have low score and low privilege, so you can only do certain limited actions, so they can do a little bit harm if they are bad. And with time goes on, and we can analyze, okay, this one act like a normal person, then we will increase their credit score and unlock their privileges. And also we can use activity anomaly detection, which I talked earlier. And also we can use some AI method to like clustering abnormal users, because those users are also very similar in their actions, because for the RPA or mobile device farm, the actions are almost the same for different user. So if we can find the features for those malicious or like those zombie accounts, and then we use a very basic clustering method, we can find those abnormal users easily. For anomaly detection, there's also a very common way, which is we will develop a risk control engine, which I showed on the right corner. It's usually we have rule-based policies like blacklist or whitelist per user. It's like trusted device per user, and the rate limit, and based on some basic statistics to check each critical API call is okay, or we need, okay, this login is dangerous, we need to use reCAPTCHA, or if this like is very, very bad, we need to reject this request. And those control engine will use like device information, IP, based on their activities, and a lot of features to do those kind of decisions. Some complicated policies are usually AI-based, like time series models to check the activities, if this activity is normal or malicious. And we can sometimes we will use off-time AI models to check the group behaviors. If this group of accounts have similar behavior and their behavior is malicious, and we can find this group of zombie accounts. And the user UEBA is similar, like we will normally to find different groups of users, like maybe this kind of user is normal and this kind of behavior is bad. So these are overall suggestions for like account security. The first one is you need to protect the whole life cycle of the account from the start, register, login, change or reset password, forget password, and until unregister. And if maybe one API is vulnerable, then the whole account security is in dangerous. And also you need to use strict controls for important actions, like comment, banned and unbanned, credit card, or pay or cash out. You usually need to use strict controls, otherwise it's very dangerous. And audit log is very important and very useful. You can get a lot of information by analyzing the audit log, maybe critical actions, environment information, request, parameters, and the return messages. So you can analyze the behaviors of those accounts. And the anomaly detection is also very useful based on the logs you have. And the whitelist per user is the trusted device, which is very, very important and very, very useful based on my experience, because it's very difficult for the hackers to know which device you are using, and it's based on the based on your previous behaviors. Next, I will talk about mobile security. So there are also many ways to attack mobile applications. The first one is app reverse engineering. There are many tools existing to reverse engineer APKs or even an iOS binary files if you jailbreak the devices. And after the reverse engineering, you can see those assembly code, and some advanced tools can also translate those assembly code to maybe the native code like Java or C, and you can see those logics in the application, which you can guess, maybe even get some critical parameters for the APIs, or for even for the get the keys in the code. And another way to attack the APK or application is hijack the traffic. You can this is an application in Android. You can download it, and after certain configurations, you can hijack all the traffic from certain applications, and you can see there are APIs and the parameters for each API. And you can analyze that and find, maybe exploit some APIs. And also emulator, like I talked earlier, you can use that to mimic the normal actions. To protect from those attacks, there's a technique called APP obfuscation. So on the right shows how it works, or how it looks after we obfuse the native code. And on the left of this image is the native original code. After obfuscation, they will change the readable variables into nonsense variables like local 0, local 1, and it's very, very difficult to understand the obfusc source code. But the obfuscation has a problem, which is after obfuscate, the APP usually has some compatibility problems. Maybe the original APK is okay running on this version of Android, but it may crack after obfuscation. So you need to use this really, really careful. And use the SSL certificate binding technique. You can protect from the traffic hijack, because you only trust the certificate that is embedded in your APK. The problem for this is the certificate may expire. So if you want, if your certificate expires, it's very, very difficult to updating the certs, because not every people is going to update the APKs. Sometimes there are like maybe 10% of them will use the original or the old version of APK, and you need to be compatible with them. So this is also very difficult to implement in real corporate. And for emulator detection, there are some easy ways, like there are some fingerprints in the environment or in the kernels. You can see from this this piece of code, they will check the model values or the hardware or the framework or the product. They have those fingerprints, but it's easy to change those as well. So the advanced way is you can run a piece of native code in the emulator and check the execution result. If the running environment is emulator, the result is different from a real device. So this is very effective, and it's difficult to bypass that detection. Okay, lastly, I will talk a little about the content security. So the first part is text or voice. A lot of problems we face is in text is like they use, you can see that the original word is look, and they use all kinds of strange characters they found in the, I don't know how they find those. They use different characters that look similar to the original word. And if you use keyword to check if this is the inappropriate text, it's very, very difficult, because there are many variations of the same meaning of word. And for image or video or live streaming content moderation, there are some AI models, and during my time, they all not perfect. So basically, we have like a group of human employees to work 7 and 24 shifts to manually check each live streaming on which is going on to see if it's inappropriate to the platform. Okay, I will conclude my talk in these 3 points. The first one is security is like a barrel theory. So your security is defined by the shortest board, and it's not defined by the longest board. So if there's a very easy, very easy vulnerability in your system, then it's very easy for the attackers to attack to your system. And then you need to reduce as much attack surface as possible, because there's no perfect way to protect yourself. You have to improve as much as possible. And lastly, it's I don't know, it's an old Chinese saying, but I translate that in English. It's like, while the good involves a foot, the bad involves a yard. So it's an endless war to fight against the spammers, to fight against the gray industry, to protect the security. All right, that's all my talks.
Are you okay with sharing the slides, Chen?
Yes.
Okay, that was one of the questions.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Well, that was the main question.
Interesting.
Sheikh, I liked the SIM farms and the mobile device farms. I wasn't really aware of them. So that was,
Oh, this one?
yeah. Well, also you had the device where you had all the SIM cards put into it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the SIM card bank.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with them, but that makes sense.
Yeah. It is. This is very common in the gray market. Like when I was first, like maybe 10 years ago, it was not popular, but maybe after 2 years later, when the attack and the protection evolves, they try to use the mobile device farm. SIM card bank, yeah.
Can you rent those if you want to do an attack? Or is it more the attackers have those and use them by themselves?
For the great market, it's like some company will create a mobile device farm, and you can rent their service maybe for certain time, and the company will find different customers to do different things.
Okay. So like on the dark web, I know like with botnets, you can buy the botnet software and have paper install. Could I on the dark web just like buy 70 Facebook accounts or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, in China, if you want to like maybe to register like bank account to borrow money online, you need to hold your ID card and take a picture of yourself holding your ID card. So then they will verify, okay, this is the credit score of this identity, and then to evaluate how much money you can borrow, right? And there's also a gray market to sell those photos.
There's you can buy in the US you can buy AI generated pictures of driver's licenses. They're not real driver's licenses, but they generate them, and that's also fairly common.
Well, the case I talked about is not AI generated. They are real person. What they did is, there are many villages in China, and they personally went to those villages and to take pictures of the real person and give them maybe $1 for reward. And those people will sell those photos. They will sell those photos maybe $5 per picture, and they will earn like $4 a picture.
Okay, so you could do something like that there's the orb where they're taking pictures of people's eyes to put on the block as biometrics. You could do the same thing with that. Or India has that online biometrics database, and that would also, I mean,
yeah.
If you have a lot of poor people with that would be a good second income for them.
Yes, like reCAPTCHA, there are also gray market services to bypass those. Basically, what they do is basically they will redirect those reCAPTCHA images to hundreds of thousands of users, and the real person will input the number or letters in the reCAPTCHA, and each reCAPTCHA they input, they will earn maybe 10 cents.
Although lately I've seen a lot of literatures pointing out that reCAPTCHA is actually being used more now for generating money by AI training. It's better at that than it is at identifying people.
Oh, yes, maybe.
At the very least, it's used for both, but probably more effective for. Do you remember that when we were actually, yeah, no, that was with the project, the Internet Freedom Project. We were getting these bogus DNS with with afraid.org, and they had a CAPTCHA, and I didn't realize they had a CAPTCHA, and I wanted you to automate it, and her script broke the CAPTCHA.
Okay.
Which was great. She could have just told me it had a CAPTCHA and I would have told her to leave it, but then it wasn't a very good CAPTCHA evidently, but she broke it with the Python script.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's vulnerability in those APIs. It's also very common. Like there are many vulnerabilities in APIs because those logics behind the APIs are very complicated because you need to think all kinds of scenarios, and it's very common that some programmer make a mistake in those logics, and you can bypass them by maybe different combinations of requests. And I experienced once when I was in Ele.me, which is the Chinese Grab or Chinese Uber Eat, and there was a reset password vulnerability for the commercial accounts, so they can reset any restaurant account and withdraw all the money in their account.
Well, yeah, the ones that do it with email responses are not a great idea. Sheikh, people in the audience, are there other questions that while we have Chin here for you?
Merci beaucoup, Chen. Mais prof, ce que tu disais tout à l'heure par rapport à l'allocation de la ferme, c'est des pratiques aujourd'hui qu'on peut aussi voir en Afrique. Il y a des bots que certains peuvent créer sur Instagram ou sur Twitter. Certains influenceurs ont des millions de followers, de faux followers qu'on crée à travers des bots. Et d'autres, c'est des millions ou des centaines de comptes, de faux comptes qu'on crée sur Twitter pour porter de faux messages, disséminer de la fake news et aussi promouvoir une forme de campagne déguisée en ligne. Donc, c'est à peu près les mêmes pratiques, ce n'est pas les mêmes infrastructures, ce n'est pas les mêmes moyens, mais on est sur la même logique d'influence et de propagande en utilisant les réseaux sociaux et les failles des médias sociaux.
Et je pense que les cartes SIM doivent être moins chères en Afrique que, par exemple, l'Europe. Donc, par exemple, et je propose pas ça comme une idée de criminalité, mais ça veut dire que si quelqu'un fait ça en Afrique, ça sera possible de faire moins cher qu'en Europe, en Amérique du Nord, peut-être qu'en Chine.
Ça coûte moins cher en Afrique, c'est plutôt, on va dire que c'est presque gratuit, hein, on peut l'offrir, mais après, le danger, c'est que l'Afrique risque d'être ou de devenir un terrain propice pour le business du hacking, le business du piratage, le business du phishing, de l'hameçonnage, donc de toutes ces pratiques-là, parce que, bon, il y a la recherche de l'emploi, la recherche de l'argent. Quand les opérateurs en Russie ou en Europe ont de l'argent, ils peuvent prendre des centaines de jeunes Africains à qui ils vont payer de l'argent et qui vont servir de relais pour dupliquer des bots ou dupliquer des robots ou servir de serveurs pour ces fermes numériques.
C'est déjà le cas.
C'est ça.
C'est déjà, par exemple, avec les botnets, parce qu'il y a tant de systèmes d'exploitation en Afrique qui ne sont pas officiels, donc il n'y a pas de patchs pour mettre à jour. Donc, beaucoup des bots sont déjà en Afrique.
C'est ça. Et hélas, les acteurs politiques n'ont pas les mécanismes, ni aussi les infrastructures, ni la connaissance aussi pour se prémunir, c'est-à-dire pour se protéger et en même temps sensibiliser. Et après, la société est aussi dépassée parce que, bon, les parents ne connaissent pas ces réalités-là et donc ne peuvent pas éduquer leurs enfants par rapport à ça. Et au niveau éducatif, c'est-à-dire au niveau universitaire, au niveau académique, il n'y a pas encore cette prise de conscience collective qui pourrait amener en quelque sorte à reformater le programme universitaire de sorte à ce qu'on puisse prendre en charge ces problématiques qui vont impacter le continent dans un futur proche.
Dans beaucoup de pays, il n'y a pas encore les lois contre la cybercriminalité et en plus, avec les policiers, ils n'ont pas des moyens.
C'est ça.
Hmm.
Et les autorités politiques ne connaissent pas, et donc c'est eux souvent les failles. Ils constituent les principales vulnérabilités. Donc on offre des machines, des ordinateurs à un ministère de l'économie, au ministère de la finance ou au ministère de l'éducation. On leur offre 100 ordinateurs, ils sont contents et ils applaudissent. ils n'ont pas les moyens pour pouvoir vérifier s'il n'y a pas de spyware ou de malware sur ces machines-là. Et puis après, bon, ça crée encore une forme de dépendance, de vulnérabilité.
Qui ont des diplômes d'informatique. Après, il n'y a pas assez des chances d'être embauché qui sert ça. Et ça arrive aussi à donner, il n'y a pas des autres moyens que de cybercriminalité pour eux. J'ai déjà partagé avec vous, j'ai ouais, ouais. J'ai déjà partagé avec vous une idée que j'ai eue pour faire les formations de sécurité. On pourrait faire un MOOC et, bon, pour les jeunes, pour faire une formation d'être professionnel en cybersécurité. Et ensuite, par exemple, avec les banques et les autres sociétés en Afrique, il y a un besoin.
Il y a un
Si on,
réel.
si on aura des gens qui sont assez bien formés dans cette connaissance, je pense qu'on pourrait faire bien un marché pour les jeunes qui ont la bonne formation, et ça sert beaucoup pour aider les sociétés africaines et les jeunes.
Comme tu vois, hein, on a essayé avec toi, depuis 2017, on va faire un peu le tour de l'Afrique. On a été dans certains pays, on a formé certains, mais ce n'était que des journalistes et des activistes. Donc, on n'a pas pu former d'autres corps de métier. On n'a pas été dans les universités pour former les étudiants. Nous n'avons pas travaillé avec les informaticiens. Nous n'avons pas encore travaillé avec les experts. On n'a pas encore travaillé avec les politiques, l'administration publique. Donc, tout ça, je pense, c'est la suite naturelle du programme et on pourra continuer à réfléchir là-dessus. Très bien.
OK.
On a fait 1 heure, 2 minutes. Je voudrais vous remercier tous et toutes d'avoir pris de votre temps pour participer à ce cours délivré par chaîne sur la sécurité des médias sociaux. C'est un cours de plus qui va être aussi déployé sur la plateforme naturellement, et donc vous aurez aussi la possibilité de le revoir et de pouvoir poser des questions sur le forum au niveau de la plateforme de formation Open Classroom que vous connaissez déjà, academy.africtivistes.org. Merci et à la prochaine. Thank you, Chen, and goodbye.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Chen. Bye.
Mhm.
You're welcome.